Hi, everybody. My name is Nilay Patel. I'm the owner, designer, and educator here at SilverSilk and more, and I want to welcome you to my channel. Today, I'm going to be teaching you how to make a quick pair of earrings that is fall inspired with the colors and textures that I'm using, and I'm going to be using pipe chain to create these earrings. I really love this technique. It's super easy. It just involves a little bit of wire wrapping, and you're pretty much ready to go. So I'm going to pan over to my work surface, and we'll get started. All right, let's go over the materials that you'll need to create this project. Here's a close-up of the finished piece. As you can see, it's got a lot of great movement and just really versatile, I think. You can add pretty much any sort of bead baubles that you want to, and in any color and fashion, really. And also, this technique is quite versatile, too, because you can create links and stuff with it if you're wanting to really expand your horizons with jewelry design. So as far as materials goes, you'll just need a short piece of capture chain. I'm going to be constructing the other earring, so basically you'll just need these supplies times two to create both of the earrings. So I have a little piece of pipe chain. You can use a longer length if you like. This is probably closer to 2.5 to 3 inches at most. And really, it's just we're turning it into a U shape. And so the longer you cut the pipe chain, the bigger the U will become. And so you can kind of think about the size of your earring that you want to make ahead of time. So I'm using the bronzite color, again, just going with the fall fashion here. And then I've got a piece of wire. This is 20 gauge craft wire in antique copper. And the length that I'm using is probably about 8 inches to 9 inches. This is an important element to this project because it is a softer wire, which makes it super easy to create the loops and to do the wire wrapping at the ends, which you'll see here in a little bit. So making sure that you have a high quality and a soft craft wire is very important to work with. You'll need a jump ring, which I've got there, an earring hook, and then you'll need some beads, and some of these are already wrapped and ready to go, but I'll explain all of this and how to do it here in just a second. But again, you can create this with any beads that you have. If you've got mismatched beads within your inventory or a certain mix that you want to use, then this is the opportunity to do that. Here I just found some really great check glass beads and started to just kind of pair stuff together. I like this whole green and brown combination, and so that's kind of what I'm running with. And so you'll need some beads. I have one hooked onto a jump ring here that I just opened up and inserted a little 6mm jump ring, and it's going to act as a additional bauble. And then I have a couple here that I used simple loops to create, either on the top or either side in this case, to create some accent beads and another bubble. And then I have one here ready to show you how I created that little bubble. So you'll need some, and I'm using about 2 of these head pins per side. So 4 in total if you're wanting to make 2 pairs of earrings. But here I've just got the one, and it's already pre-strung with some beads. And so I wanted to show you real quick how to do a quick little wire wrapping and then basically using that technique to create the rest of the design. And it's not even really a wire wrap, it's more of just a simple loop, but that sort of sets the foundation. And real quick, before I do that, I do want to talk about the tools because I'm using a pair of chain nose pliers, a pair of round nose pliers, my handy pair of cutters here for wire, and I've got a pair of nylon jaw pliers, which are good to have if your wire is bent out of shape. You simply can just run it through to straighten it back out. So it's not vital to this design or this project, but it's just a nice to have in case you're wanting to straighten out your wire. So having gone over the tools now, I'm going to grab my cutters and I'm just going to trim it about a 1/2 inch above the last bead. I'm going to grab my round nose pliers and make sure that it is flush up against my nose there. And you don't want any little piece here to stick out. If you feel it along your fingers, then go ahead and kind of bring it down into your pliers. Also, the further you go down into your pliers, you can see that the mandrels get larger. So I like to keep my simple loops kind of small and nice and tidy and, petite, if you will. So I tend to stick to the top here. But I'm just going to start to roll the pliers around until my tip of the head pin touches the stem. And you'll notice that you get a nice little P-shaped loop there. And so what I'm going to do is grab my chain nose pliers. Whoops. And I'm going to grab the inside of my neck here, and I'm going to bend it backwards. You can do this with the round nose pliers if it's more comfortable. There's really no wrong way. I just want to definitely emphasize that whatever is comfortable and looks the best as the end result. What you want to do is bend that loop backwards because you're wanting to get a symmetrical loop at the end of it. So you're turning it essentially from a P-shaped loop to a nice symmetrical round loop there. So that's a simple loop. Hopefully that was simple. And we'll set that aside. And I've created another one here with another bead bobble. So those are ready to go. So now we can focus on, oh, and lastly, I did make a smaller bobble here. And this is really just a nice to have. You don't have to have this accent bead. I'll show you where we use it here in a little bit. So yeah, that kind of sets the stage for our next technique, which we're going to build on. So I'm going to grab my pipe chain and I'm going to grab my wire and I'm going to slide it right through. So I've got that right on the chain there. Excuse me, the chain is right on the wire there. And so what we're going to do is slide it to the middle, and I'm going to grab my round nose pliers. And this time, instead of working with just the tip of the pliers, which we did last time, I'm going to slide it really like down into the pliers there, and or down into the wire. And I'm going to wrap my wire around that mandrel tip there so that I get a P-shaped loop again, but now that my wires will be crisscrossed there. So I've got a loop, but I've got a wire off to one side. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So I'm just going to gently kind of keep this out of the way, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap the other side as well. So what this does is it creates a bit of a stopper for each side so that my pipe chain isn't going to move around or roll around on me. So now I will just repeat the same step as before. I'm going to, what I call, break that neck by twisting it backwards. And then I'm going to readjust where the stem moved. So it was at a 90-degree angle bend, and it moved to now a 45-degree. So I want to bend it back by inserting my pliers back in and just shifting that wire back up. So what's happened is that I've got a nice symmetrical loop, but my wire is positioned back at where it was before. So let me go ahead and do that again. I'm going to grab my the neck of my loop there, if you will. And you'll know you've grabbed the neck because this wire will be sticking out toward you. And I'm going to bend it back just a little bit. You don't need to go too crazy. And then I'm going to take that wire and flip it back up. Okay. So now I've got two really great symmetrical loops with a little bit of wire sticking out. So once I've done that, I'm going to grab it with my chain nose pliers, and I'm going to grab the end of my wire here, and I'm going to start to gently roll it and coil it around until it starts to kind of work right over the pipe chain. You're going to notice that it's going to coil right over it as soon as you get like a couple of good coils started. I do this about 4 times, and it really does work nicely to wrap up the ends there. And so it leaves your pipe chain feeling very clean and tidy, and it's just got a nice wire coil that covers up some of those raw ends there. So I'll do that again on this side. Okay, just grab the end and start to coil. If you have trouble working with the end, you can certainly use your plier. And again, just gently start to roll. Don't force it to roll over. It'll go naturally on its own. And just, you want to be keeping the tension even, but you don't want to force it, I guess is really what I'm trying to say. And you'll notice that the coils just stack quite nicely on top of each other. I think I'll end up right at 4 on this one, so that's lucky. Okay, just got a little bit of that in there. Oops, here we go. So what I'll do now is I'll just trim that right off. I tend to kind of trim this at an angle. You'll notice that there's a sharp chiseled edge on my wire there. And the reason for that is it just kind of helps to sort of fold it in and keeps the surface nice and flush instead of a blunt cut. And I did that to this side as well. So that pretty much creates a little link, if you will. You can actually use this technique to create a necklace if you want to. You just have multiple links attached to each other and, maybe some beads in between. But I really like this coiling technique. It's just an easy way to really cap off the ends of pipe chain quite neatly and in some fashionable way, right? So now what I'm going to do is string on my jump ring from earlier. This is in the antique copper color. I've got a little bit of a gap there, so I'm just going to work to close it up. Or actually, you know what? I'm going to slide on my jump ring, and then I'm going to slide on my little bead bauble here, because that's the top part of my earring, like in this design. So that's what I'm going to attach first. Okay. Make sure your jump ring is nice and closed. And then I'm going to fold these down toward each other. Again, getting that nice U shape. And it looks like in the original design, I've got my loop facing up, and here I have it facing on the side. So I'm just going to sort of flip these around so that they're facing out. Okay, that looks really good. So now they're facing straight up at me. And I've got a beautiful symmetrical U-shaped bend that's all ready to go. And so now I just sort of have to attach my beads however I want to. In this case, I think I've got a little bauble here, my leaf. So I'm just going to attach that. I think I need to open that up just a smidge more. Okay, and I've got this. So the way to open this up is you really flip the loop right up instead of out. This helps retain the shape. So anytime that you're attaching these sorts of components, just keep that in mind, that you're trying to preserve that round shape as much as possible. So that is now attached, so I can get my last one attached here. Sort of rolls around on me as I'm holding those beads in place. Okay, that is all attached now. And so here's where I have to decide which side my earring loop is going to go on, because I want my earrings to kind of lay in a certain fashion, right? So if I'm going to wear it on one ear and have it facing this way, I probably want to make sure that my design stays symmetrical on the other ear, and making sure that my green elements are reflected on the other side as such. So I just need to attach it now on the earring hook like this, hoping that this is the right way to put it in. If not, I'll know very quickly. So that was not right. I think I need to go in the other way. Let's see if this will be correct. Yes, okay. Sometimes that can be a little tricky, but we got it. So now if I wear my earrings, they should face the direction that I want them to as I'm wearing them. There we go. Beautiful, easy peasy. I know it requires a little bit of practice, so hopefully you can take some of these foundations that we've learned and create your own pair of earrings and really start to build on top of that. So I'm going to flash back over to the photo. And I want to thank you so much for joining me for this tutorial. I really enjoyed kind of showing you this technique and demystifying how this creative process works and developing some of these techniques and stuff too. And so I hope you'll follow me here on the SilverSilk and More YouTube channel, and subscribe to my channel, of course, to keep it going, and then follow me over on Instagram. And also come find us in the Silkies Facebook group. We are a lively, creative bunch that just continually inspire each other and enjoy using silver silk and beads, of course, wire, beading wire, stringing materials, you name it. It's all creative with silver silk. So I will see you again next time on the next tutorial, and you guys have a great evening.